A great look at Barber Motorsports Park, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, working our way towards the green flag. I'm Kevin Lee. Let's check in again with Marty Snyder.
Well, where are the drivers today? They are finding a little shade. So Ryan Briscoe and I are trying to find a little shade. It's a 90-some degree day, so we'll get Ryan over here and we'll chat a little bit about staying cool today. This track's been a little tricky this weekend, hasn't it? You spun in morning warm-up. What's made it so tough this time around?
I don't know what it is. It's just we've definitely lost a little bit of grip since last year, and the tires drop off fairly quickly. I think this heat as well, it's very hot, probably warmer than we were expecting, so the tires drop off, and then the corners are so long here. It's a pretty abrasive surface. You're just sort of floating the car all the time, so it's really tricky conditions. I actually had a little spin in warm-up this morning just trying to find the limit, and we made some setup changes after that and it felt better, but it's going to be a tough 90 laps today. You found that limit, didn't you? You've also been dealing with your right hand. You have torn ligaments in your thumb from the crash at St. Pete. How are you dealing with that this week? Yeah, well, the IRL doctors or IndyCar doctors are helping me out, and we just got it taped up, so it shouldn't hurt too much in the car, but it's just really annoying. They reckon it'll take several weeks to get better. It doesn't hurt when I'm like this, but whenever I have a moment or just knock it, it really hurts. It's like hitting your funny bone or something. So it's just annoying. Hopefully it won't be too much of a distraction today. Torn ligaments in the thumb and all, but it's very well taped. I can attest to that. Ryan Briscoe ready to go, Lindy.
Sebastian Bourdais starting 20th. You said this is difficult to say the least. What's going on?
It's just the beginning, you know. We knew it was going to be tough. It's starting on the stronger, tough side than we thought it would be, but it's just as expected. The program started really late, and we're doing the best we can, but so far it's just not good enough.
About 70% of this crew is new, but you are familiar with your engineer from your time at Newman Haas. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he was my assistant engineer at Newman Haas, and so we know each other really well. But obviously, we could really use a kind of a baseline setup, you know, that we feel comfortable with to start. And right now, we're still looking after that thing.
Earlier, we were laughing because I said, "Do you feel like this is your first race?" And you said, "That actually is my first race." Talk about what happened at St. Pete.
Yeah, it was just a very small error which had huge consequences. You know, I just tapped the wall on the inside of the fast chicane and ripped off the right front suspension, and from there I was just a passenger. Obviously, I had a really big hit after that, and it did the tub, so that was pretty much the end of the day.
Does that make you feel even more behind today?
No, it doesn't change anything. I mean, you know, it's one street course to one road course. It's just going to be our first race, but it doesn't really matter. What we really need to focus on is just trying to bring the car home. Hopefully, there is a little bit of action going on, and we can benefit that. But we just don't have the pace right now, so we're gonna keep on plugging away and trying to find some solutions.
Sebastian Bourdais rolling off 20th today.
Thank you, Lindy. 2 weeks ago, Takuma Sato had an IndyCar career-high finish of 5th place at St. Pete, and it could not have come at a better time. Sato is from Japan, where, of course, the events from the past month have been of worldwide concern.
If I could be anywhere beside the racetrack, it would be Japan at the moment. Well, it happened when I was traveling from Europe to the States. And when I got to the States, I got a news, and it was a real shock. And obviously, I tried to call my family in Japan, and they are all okay. And I tried to imagine that, but I can't really, because it's just so scary things that the powers nature could easily destroy like this. It's just unbelievable. So I'm here, I need to make car fast. But to me today, it doesn't matter, because my heart is in Japan, and I wish people quickly recover and be strong. I want to try to help mentally, physically. I want to do everything I can.
And with his country deep in his heart and mind, Takuma Sato starts 11th today. There's a look at the KV Lotus technology, the Lotus car. Stay with us, plenty more to come for Barber Motorsports Park. We're just over an hour away from IndyCar action from Barber Motorsports Park. I'm Kevin Lee. A look at some of the other notable events in open wheel history on this date, and some big names, and one we just spoke with a few moments ago, Sebastian Bourdais. We'll be headed to Long Beach coming up next week. You can see that here on Versus as well. Another feature of IndyCar coverage on Versus is the IZOD Pit Center, and Marty Snyder joins us there.
And we're hanging out here with James Hinchcliffe, the 2010 runner-up in Indy Lights, and an impressive debut so far here at Barber, starting 8th today. So what's a realistic expectation for you today, James?
Try and not look too much like a rookie. You know?
Come on now, come on. on. You've done well this weekend.
Yeah, you know, we've had a great car with the Sprott Newman Haas entry there in the 06, and it's really just about trying to learn as much as possible, try and not make as many mistakes, or not make any mistakes. And I think top rookie. I think that's realistic. And if we come up with a top 10 with what we've had this weekend, I think that'd be great.
All right, this is a track map. You've seen this place, right?
Yeah, I think I should know a little bit about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I hope you have, because you know what we're gonna do?
Unfortunately.
Blindfold, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put that on. Goes around the back, and we're going to blindfold you, young man. You're young, you're energetic, you can do this. Can you draw the track blindfolded over here?
Where are we?
Right over here.
All right. Can you start me on the start-finish line?
I'll do that for you. That's the only piece I'm helping you with.
All right. Here we go. Down the front straight. Sort of down into turn 1-ish. And then...
A little early for turn 1.
All right, so I'll make turn 2 extra long then. How about that?
That'll work.
And then come down here.
A little off there, too. Just go left.
All right, we're going left here now on the straightaway, sort of?
Sort of.
Ish.
The wrong straightaway, but that's okay.
How about that? Is that better?
Turn.
And then we're going here?
Yeah, you're a little off, but you're okay.
All right, and then it sort of goes this way a bit. Do 7, 8, and 9. Oh,
you're out of TV screen. You're out of TV screen. Go ahead and take the blindfold off. Let's see how you did. Oh, you were close for like at least 3 inches there.
What I'm trying to do. I mean, it's
yeah.
If I'm honest, I was practicing on a piece of paper with a pen blindfolded before I came down here, but this is obviously a much larger scale, so yes. I tried to cheat the system and it didn't work.
Right, and now you know what happened the last time a Newman Haas rookie started the second race of the year in his first race. What happened?
Yeah, a few people have mentioned this. Graham won the race down in St. Pete. So,
no
yeah.
pressure.
No pressure, a lot to live up to, but we're just going to do what we can. We're here to have some fun.
Nonetheless, it's been a terrific weekend for him so far. Kevin?
Good to have the mayor of Hinchtown with us in IndyCar. Plenty more to come. There's a look at some of the activities here at Barber Motorsports Park. Stay with us for the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. There's a look at the Dreyer and Reinbold car of Justin Wilson, who qualified 5th despite breaking in a bone in his wrist at St. Pete. We've got a new teammate this weekend as well. Charter Communications on the 22 car. There's a shot of the new driver. The 24 car driven by American Le Mans Series champion and former Champ Car driver Simone Pagenaud. He's filling in for rookie Anna Beatrice, who had surgery last week to repair her broken wrist. This leads us to our first installment of the year of Professor B, Jan Beekes.
One of the perils of open wheel racing is anytime you make contact with a front wheel, that shock goes right back to the driver's hands on the steering wheel. Now for Dreyer and Reinbold in St. Petersburg, both their drivers end up with wrist fractures. And for Anna Beatrice, she has surgery and needs a screw implanted in her scaphoid bone. Now in the case of Justin Wilson, the data now shows he took a 1,500-pound shock of side load in the contact. And if we take a look at the steering wheel, look what happens if I simply just do a light contact here. That's just swinging the wheel to the left, to the right, with nothing on it. Imagine the kind of whip that you get out of that with a 1,500-pound impact. Now Justin uses the molded grips on the wheel, so you can see your hand gets locked into that steering wheel. So Justin, we talk about steering shock, but there's also steering load. They talk about over 300 pounds of torque on a wheel. You're a strong guy, but they're tough to turn.
Yeah, these cars are pretty tough. You know, there's some tracks where you literally use all your effort just to hold it with the steering lock you have, and if you don't get the lock in before the car loads up, you can't turn it anymore. It's everything you've got.
Now you have a brace on your wrist.
Yeah.
How's that going this weekend?
I got it on this side. It's tough. It makes it hard to drive, and it's trying to get the movement, the range of motion with my thumb, trying to not damage it anymore. So I want to try and use it as much as I can because the steering's so heavy, but it's limited.
I know this will be a tough track, but hang in there. But we have some good news, certainly for Justin and other drivers. I checked with Tony Kottman in the new car, and they're going to address this issue. Number one, they've changed the geometry so the car is easier to turn. Number two, they're looking at possibly a steering damper. If you took a shock from the side, it would take that load out. But number three, and I know Justin and many other drivers would be excited about this, possibly a small electronic power assist steering rack. They're very, very expensive, but they would be much safer.
Justin Wilson still soldiered home 10th despite that broken wrist at St. Pete. One of many preparing to go here today. Well, the season may just be underway, but we're already starting to focus on the Indianapolis 500 with practice beginning in just over a month. As we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the greatest spectacle in racing, we look at some of the activities that are coming up. Opening day, Saturday the 14th, a classic car show. That's the celebration of automobiles. Also, pole day, wall-to-wall coverage here on Versus, and bump day on Sunday the 22nd. And don't forget Carb Day as well. You'll see that activity on Versus, and of course the Indianapolis 500 on May 29th. A new look for Helio Castroneves this weekend. AAA is the sponsor. Coming up next, our first installment of Wally's World with Wally Dallenbach. We're working our way towards the green flag. Round number 2 of the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series schedule. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Lee. Well, Wally Dallenbach Jr. joins our broadcast as one of the analysts this year, and he certainly entertained us with his ride-along segments on NASCAR broadcasts over the last decade. During the Firestone Indy Lights race today, it was announced that Wally's actually going to be back in the car driving the 77 at Edmonton in Lights this year. But this time around, our first segment of Wally's World, he's a passenger.
Wally's World! Wally's World! IndyCar! Excellent! Wally's World! Wally's World! Wally's World!
Welcome to Barber's Motorsports Park. We've done a lot of Wally Worlds over the years, but nothing like this. First time in an IndyCar two-seater doing a Wally's World. I'm on the receiving end, and I want to thank one of the best drivers in the series taking their time to give me a ride, Danica Patrick. Tony Kanaan. All right, Tony.
What do you expect for now?
Give us an idea what it's like to take a lap down this place. It looks like a real busy racetrack.
Yeah, it's a busy racetrack. A lot of elevations, as you guys can see. You go around the axis here really quick, you can barely see the corner. Second gear corner. The steering gets very heavy. We have a quick chicane right now, which is flat out. You can barely see the exit.
Oh, Ferris wheel!
And then you have the fastest chicane on the racetrack, which feels like a roller coaster.
Wow, the car really gets tight over that hill, doesn't it?
It doesn't, especially when you're going, that fast. You can barely see the road, so it's the last corner before the front straightaway. And
now, where do you park around this place?
I'll show you the passing zone. It's quite a bit further down. This is the start-finish line. Start one, you have a good chance to pass. And you have a long corner here that feels like a carousel. This corner is really important, Wally, because that's when you're going to set up a pass. You go behind the guy here, it's pretty much the only chance you have to pass. It's this corner here, all the way to the inside. And you try to make a pass over the hairpin. You use the curb a bit. Now, here you go. Just pass it for the lead.
Ah, yeah. Wow, this is so cool. What part of the racetrack do you think is the hairiest part as a driver? Like, what's that part that you kind of hold your breath every lap?
This one right here. You can barely see the corner, and it's one of the most fast parts of the racetrack.
Woo, that was so cool. Tony, I want to thank you for giving us a ride, the best in the business. Good luck this weekend, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, my friend. It's a pleasure. I was always a big fan of yours, and see you scaring the hell out of people, so I'm glad I got the pleasure to do that.
Thanks a lot.
Coming up, Dario Franchitti joins us for IndyCar Central on Versus.
Welcome Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park, just outside Birmingham, Alabama. I'm Bob Jenkins, and we're about 45 minutes away from the start of today's Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. This is presented by Verizon, where we'll get you ready for today's 214-mile race. 2 weeks ago, defending series champion Dario Franchitti picked up where he left off, winning the season opener in St. Petersburg, getting by last season's road course champion Will Power. Tony Kanaan had a third-place finish in his first race with a new team, just ahead of Simona de Silvestro, who had a career-high fourth-place finish. But Florida wasn't the Sunshine State for all who visited. Last year's Barber winner was one of several drivers who looked to put the season opener behind them.
Time to go racing in 2011.
Will Power in the front. Dixon looks to the inside, and Marco Andretti goes over the top. Andretti is on his lid. There are 5 cars did not make it through.
We go back to green flag racing. Power is going to grab the lead as they head to turn number 1 and into 2.
Dario and Kanaan both get by.
Dario Franchitti is the early leader. Give the Scotsman the 27th win of his career.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Dario, he picks up right where he left off after winning the championship last year. Is this a sign of things to come?
And so the two drivers who battled to the championship at the final race last year at Homestead Miami Speedway, Dario Franchitti and Will Power, finished first and second in the opener this year in St. Petersburg. Dario wins round number 1, and he is standing by on our Versus Pit Road set with Kevin Lee.
Thank you, Bob. Let's start with that, Dario, as you bask in the glory of a win to try to defend your championship and the rivalry with Team Penske. These two teams have battled for championships for the last several years. What kind of rivalry is there?
Well, it's a strong rivalry. It's a friendly one too, but we want to beat those guys, and they definitely want to beat us badly. And we continue to push each other to each week. And some weeks we have the advantage, some weeks it's those guys. So it's ongoing. And as you saw with the pass, that's actually the first time I've seen the pass. It gets close on occasion.
In Formula One, the biggest rival is your teammate. Scott Dixon has been one of the toughest guys to beat. What's that relationship like?
Yeah, Scott is absolutely very tough to beat, but we've managed to do it in a way that, the same with when I was teammates with Tony Kanaan, Brian Herta, Marco, Dan, those guys, we managed to do it in a friendly way. I know he wants to beat me. He knows I want to beat him, but we work very well together. We're friends away from the track, but we keep that competition on the track, and that's I think sometimes people misunderstand that. They misunderstand that we are so fiercely competitive because we're friendly away from the track.
We love you because of your skill, but also your candidness. Double file restarts. Now, you were able to stay out in front of it, but what did you think? What adjustments need to be made? And there already have been some made.
Yeah. I mean, it was great for me. I took the lead of the race with the help of the double file restarts, but I was still very upset. I thought ultimately it came down to there's some of the drivers out there made bad decisions, and they made us look stupid as a series, and it wasn't the way we like to do things. So we've modified it a little bit today, but if I make as many mistakes as the next guy, but unless we kind of just come back a little bit and a bit less aggression at the start. When I say less aggression, I'm not for a minute saying you don't try a move that's on, but you don't just try a move that has no chance of coming off, which is what was tried last week, also on the start, but also on some of the restarts. Simona's move on the restart when she pushed Justin on the grass and then T-Bone Will was just crazy.
Thanks for coming up here. Stay cool today.
Thank you. Can I just say one thing? Got to say hi to my friends Mickey and Brady out there in Colorado, and the birth of young Sean Michael Ryan. That was a nice addition to our team this week.
Very nice. Have a good race.
Thank you.
Dario Franchitti will start 7th, and with his win at St. Pete, Dario is now won at 22 different tracks, second only to Mario Andretti, who won at 26 venues with his 52 career wins, including Barber Motorsports Park. There are 9 tracks where Dario has yet to record a victory. One driver who can cross Barber Motorsports Park off his victory list, Helio Castroneves, who captured the inaugural IndyCar event here last year. And he's standing by with Lindy.
And he needs another good weekend, Kevin. Race 1, lap 1, turn 1, and you're done. Have you all talked about the fact that you cannot afford for that to happen today?
Yeah, well, actually talk about it. It was kind of like one of those different strategy, not a strategy, because we didn't know what's going to happen. There was so slow start, and but unfortunately we all figured out what happened. Unfortunately, I brake a little too deep, and end up causing a lot of mess. Apologize to everyone, but well, for here, we start in the front, so that's a good news. The AAA insurance car seems to be in a good shape, and now we just need to be right there with Will and Ryan.
Do you feel any advantage being the defending winner?
Not really. It changed so much. The tracks, the weather, tires changed a little bit. So I wish we have some advantage. But actually, everybody probably are looking what happened last year to do the same thing. What's going to happen this year? So hopefully, we're going to have something else. Then we can beat everybody again.
We'll see what happens. Elio starting 4th. Marty Snyder with the driver starting 3rd.
And that would be Scott Dixon, who does get to start up front. But this is such a narrow track, Scott. For you, how big of a key is patience going to be today?
I think it's always key, and we saw the lack of it obviously at the first race in St. Pete, and that definitely ruined our day for Team Target. But here I think the start's going to be a lot different, a lot more flow to it. It's a 4th gear corner, but it's going to be one of those days where you got to save a bit of fuel and try and monitor what the other guys are doing. And as we were talking before, it's not obviously the way you want to always race, but 9 times out of 10 is probably what will get you that victory.
Finished 16th at St. Pete. That puts you in a little precarious position with the points. So how does that change your approach to today's race?
I don't know what I've done to St. Pete.
It has not been kind to you, my friend.
I know. The last 4 years, I don't think I've finished. So, it would be nice to hopefully get onto a bit of a roll. This is where we're going to have to start our season. Last week was, 2 weeks ago, was definitely not the way that we wanted to start. I was trying to be cautious. I was trying to stay out of everything. And, you have a car go over the top of you, which you can't help. So, but definitely looking to turn it around this weekend, get some good valuable points, and, try and start our campaign now.
It's usually not good when a car goes over the lid, right?
That's pretty bad. From every time I've seen it, it's pretty bad. Just ask Marco, maybe.
All right. The Ganassi team won the Grand Am race yesterday. Scott Dixon trying to make it the weekend sweep, Kevin.
Thank you, Marty. In his first event with KV Racing Technology, Tony Kanaan recorded a podium finish just ahead of Simona de Silvestro 2 weeks ago, who recorded a career-high 4th. We'll hear from them when IndyCar Central, presented by Verizon, returns.
IndyCar Central on Versus is presented by Verizon, official wireless partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
I'm from Switzerland, and racing is banned in Switzerland since the 1950s. There was a big crash in Le Mans where a car actually crashed into the grandstand, and Switzerland banned racing. So it's kind of weird to be a race car driver from Switzerland. So you have to go around to Italy and France to race. And, I was lucky that my dad and my mom allowed me to do that. And we would pack up the minivan, put my go-kart in, and we would go drive in Italy mostly. Got the opportunity to come to the US and went into the Atlantic Series, won a couple of races, and then got the opportunity to do a test in the IndyCar Series, and here I am in the greatest open wheel series in North America. So I think it was a good path, and I'm really lucky to be here. Being a female race car driver, it's still pretty new, and coming from Europe, not many series have had female race car drivers over there. Here in IndyCars, there has been a few, Danica has done an unbelievable job for us. We're a couple of girls racing here this year. I think we have to show that we can run up front during the whole season, and I think I'm going to do that.
Such an impressive race for this young lady who finished 4th at St. Pete. And what does a race do that for you confidence-wise as a young driver?
Well, it definitely gave a lot of confidence. Finishing 4th in the first race, it was pretty unbelievable, especially after starting 17th, and that was great. And I really have to thank everybody at HVM and Entergy and Nuclear Clean Air Energy to give me the opportunity to race here in the IZOD IndyCar Series this year.
All right, I'm not great with math, but you went from 17th to 4th. So today, 13th, that would put you in 1st at the end of the race. Can you do it with the car you have today?
I don't know. It was okay this morning, but we still have a little bit of work ahead of us. It's a little tougher to pass here, so we'll see what we have. But definitely, I'm going to try all to get to the front for sure.
And don't forget, here last year, she was in the top 5 until a late spin in the race. Lindy?
Tony Kanaan starting 24th, so will you gamble on pit strategy today?
We'll try. We'll definitely try. We're going to start on the blacks and see what we're going to do. It's a tough track to pass, but we'll see if we can do something better.
You've been visibly upset all weekend about the performance of the car. Where do you think you're at now?
I don't know. I think I have a top 15 car, but it's a long race.
We'll see how you do. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
We'll let you get into your intro. Kevin?
Starting 26.
Well, unhappy drivers were plentiful last week or 2 weeks ago. Marco Andretti, Mike Conway. Coming up, Robin Miller will join us to discuss St. Pete and more. IndyCar Central, presented by Verizon. This year we celebrate the centennial year of the Indianapolis 500, and of course you cannot do that without honoring the first four-time winner, A.J. Foyt. Can you believe it was 50 years ago when Foyt won his first 500 in 1961? Of course, he's one of only three, including Al Unser Sr. and Rick Mears, to win at Indy 4 times. A.J. also celebrated victory there as an owner in 1999, and he won with Kenny Breck. And it's good to have A.J. back at the track with us after missing St. Pete to have a procedure done on his heart. Welcome back, A.J. And back here at Barber Motorsports Park, where fans are enjoying the IZOD Fan Zone. Racing fans have been gathering there all weekend, taking part in a variety of activities and probably talking about the chaos that took place 2 weeks ago in St. Pete's.
It's a brand new season of IndyCar. 2011 is here, and we are racing as the green flag flies, and Marco Andretti goes over the top of Dixon, flips upside down.
That's what happens, you know, we try to start so close together. It's great for the fans, but it's no good for me today.
You run a good race, you run a third, fourth, and you got to go put yourself on the outside with a bunch of...
Well, there's side-by-side racing, and there's going inside the IndyCar series with Robin Miller. Let's first talk about St. Pete. What did you think about what we saw?
Kevin, what we saw was what we always see in Florida, a first lap crash in the first turn. And Scott Dixon, bless his heart, put it in perspective. He said, it's not the restarts, it's not two abreast, it's not how fast we accelerate, it's the idiots behind the wheel. My team, you know, the guys I race with. And he said, you know, we got a steering wheel, we got a throttle, we got a brake. Use our heads. It's the first race of 18 races this year. So I think the most important thing to remember is there's all this knee-jerk reaction. Oh, we got to get rid of double file restarts. It's always been double file it's always been double file starts in IndyCar racing. Nothing's new about that.
Is it serving its purpose, though? Is it more entertaining for fans?
Absolutely. I've not seen fans stand up at a street course race and cheer every time there was a restart until I saw it 2 weeks ago in St. Pete. It just doesn't happen because it's usually follow the leader. The guy that's leading the race takes off 300 yards before he's ever supposed to, and he's got such a massive lead you can't ever get near him. And this is what you better pay attention. You want people to watch this stuff. So make it more exciting and take a chance and don't abandon it. Stick with it.
Well, one of the great things about the format that we have is we have time to do some things, to go off script a little bit, and we're pretty certain with Robin there's never going to be a script. One of those features is inside the helmet. We've got the names and pictures of every driver in IndyCar in here. We have not rehearsed this. Robin doesn't know what we're doing. We're going to pick a name, and he's going to just give some random thoughts on who we have. Here we go with Vitor Mira.
Vitor Mira says, let's get to Indianapolis, kids. I'm sick of road racing. AJ knows ovals. I know ovals. I've almost won 4 or 5 of them. I'm tired of road racing and street racing.
Next up, we have Sebastian Saavedra.
Sebastian Saavedra, very impressive guy last year. He's driving for one of the small buck teams in the series. He needs to finish a race, get to the end, get a little experience, and have some fun.
Mike Conway.
Mike Conway doesn't say a lot. Nobody really knew if he was much of a race driver until he jumped in with Andretti this year. He was one of the fastest guys at St. Pete. He got caught up in the first lap crash. He struggled here this weekend, but he might end up being the #1 guy at that team before the season's over.
All right, thank you. We'll hear more from Robin coming up during the race. For more on what people are saying about this season so far, let's get down to the IndyCar IZOD Performance Center with Lindy Thaxton.
If you are on Twitter, you know that drivers go back and forth and talk about a lot of things. And after St. Pete, that was no different. We want to show you some of what a few of them said. We want to start with Simona. You remember her and Tony were battling there at the end for 3rd place. Simona said, LOL, thanks, you too. It was a lot of fun, because TK had sent her a message that said, great job, girl. Next time, take it easy on the old guy here. And then Ryan Briscoe says, wow, watching replays of the first corner accident yesterday, don't know what the guys behind me were thinking. Really frustrating. Ryan Briscoe's teammate Will Power trying this year to win that title that he could not capture last year. Coming up, you will hear Will talk about that frustrating end to his season.
This year, I was selected as a hometown hero to come down here and represent the National Guard, and it's just been a great experience, an incredible pleasure.
It's kind of a dream come true, you know what I mean?
The line is much longer for the hero than it is for the drivers.
If you get 15 seconds of fame, this is the best place to have it.
The commitment that they make is so much far superior than anything we could ever do to honor them.
This week's hometown hero.
They have thrown down the early gauntlet as the team to beat in 2010 by winning the Sao Paulo Indy 300.
Will Power, he will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories as the Twin Checkers wave.
Nice job, Mr. Power, nice job.
It looks like the win goes to Power. With his 4th win of the season, the Twin Checkers will wave. Will Power is the winner on the streets of Toronto. The win goes to Will Power as he's back in victory lane.
Good job, Will. Good job, boys.
And what a season Will Power had in 2010, winning the Mario Andretti Trophy as the series' top road and street racer. In fact, in 2 seasons with Team Penske, Power has 6 wins and has started on the front row 13 times. Will Power finished second to Dario Franchitti last year by only 5 championship points. But for all his success in 2010, Power will also be remembered for squandering a 59-point lead over the final 4 races and recording his only DNF in the last race of the season. The target is back on his Ganassi rivals, Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon, with a championship even more so in Will Power's sights.
2010 was a season where I was somewhat learning on the ovals and, you know, obviously very strong on the road courses.
He will open the 2010 season with back-to-back victories, the Aussie Will Power.
A really good season. I can't remember, you know, the last time we won that many races with one guy. And, you know, so I don't think you can be disappointed by any means.
The thing that you remember, though, is you remember who won the Indianapolis 500. You remember who won the championship. Those are the things that you remember.
Power falls even further behind. The problem for our championship leader. He slapped the wall.
It is damaged. The right rear does definitely have damage.
Will Power is going to lose the championship here tonight.
I moved from India to Charlotte this year. You know, I'm happy with my situation. This is where I come every morning, 8:30, meet with the Penske trainer. You know, we used to do an hour-and-a-half workout, and then I'll go down, maybe spend some time with my engineer or go home.
He comes in here daily, works out daily with the same group that trains our pit crew, that trains our NASCAR crews as well as our IndyCar crews, and he's a connected piece to the team.
I think just living down here near the team and with the weather, it's just a better environment to train in.
This year there should be a calmness about him that maybe didn't exist last year.
We all gel better, we all know each other better, and it's just seemed to flow a little bit easier this year. They have all the resources, they have, you know, all the people, and won a number of championships, so it's expected.
We can't afford to leave anything on the table at these races where, you know, he's proved he can dominate.
To beat the Ganassi guys is going to be as tough as it was in 2010.
I think the competition will catch up to us. If we can have the statistics that we had in 2010, I promise you the results will be different. We just need to execute. Before he thought he could do it, now he knows he can do it. Coming into Barber, he knows that he can be competitive at those tracks. He doesn't just hope or think, he knows.
I would be satisfied if I won the championship, no question. I wouldn't be satisfied with second again, no way.
I talked to Will Power just moments ago, and he told me, you know, losing the championship last year made me more motivated for this year. He said, I realize at the road and street courses, I have to gain max points. I have to put as much distance as I can between me and the rest of the field. And he's pretty good at these places too, Kevin. This is his 5th straight pole at a road course, and in that span, he has yet to finish worse than second. I would say Will Power is going to be a factor today.
Certainly, and with his pole run yesterday, Marty, Power trails Franchitti by 10 points. And it may be a little early to focus on points, but consider this. 9 different teams are represented in the top 10. Only KV Lotus has 2 drivers among the top 10. Verizon driver Will Power hopes to make his own highlight video today. When today's race is over, fans can catch the Verizon race recap on their Verizon mobile phones. Coming off her 12th place finish in St. Pete, Danica Patrick hopes to move up through the field today. She'll start 22nd. This is IndyCar Central presented by Verizon.